There are some stories that are so goofy and so weird that you couldn't make them up. I know. I've written a number of novels, and in a funny way, novels have to have a logic to them or you lose the reader. Well, imagine this one. August 4th, the Biden administration announces they're going to get federal workers, back to work because there are a huge number of federal workers who've never returned after COVID. And so you'd have these huge empty office buildings with no one in them, which you're paying for. So you're paying for the worker who's not working, and you're paying for the office space he's not using or she's not using. So now they were going to be strict. They're going to insist that federal workers actually come back to work. However, a couple of days later, we learned that in San Francisco, and this is the part that I have to tell you, I think is so weird. In San Francisco, the Nancy Pelosi federal office building. Now, first of all, I object to politicians having things named for themselves while they're alive. I think it's disgusting. But the Nancy Pelosi federal office building is in a neighborhood that is so dangerous that in the middle of the Biden administration's come back to work instruction, their leadership instructed people not to come back to work. And what they said was pretty straight. It's too dangerous. This building is surrounded by people who are homeless, people who are on drugs, people who are criminals. As you know, San Francisco has been decaying dramatically. Stores are leaving. People are leaving. The streets are totally unsafe. You have to be careful where you walk because they literally have so much human feces on the street. It's tragic. I mean, San Francisco is a great city. It's one of the most beautiful cities in America, and really bad, destructive left-wing policies have come very close to destroying the city. And I'll tell you, when you have a federal building and you can't protect it enough to allow your workers to come to work, there is something really sick going on. I think the Congress ought to look at a couple things. One, how many workers have not come back at the federal level in a year or 2 years? And maybe that's a sign we don't need them. We might be able to go through and eliminate 20% of the federal workforce just by saying, yes, congratulations, you've proven your job doesn't exist. Second, how many of these office buildings should we be getting rid of? I mean, if you have huge numbers of people who don't even show up, then the Pelosi building's a good example. And again, the fact that it's named for Nancy, I think is just, it's almost beyond satire. But the fact that the Pelosi building is that dangerous, maybe we ought to sell it. Take the money and help move towards a balanced budget. Do you realize if you took all the different federal offices that aren't being utilized and you got rid of them, how much money you would save? And if you got the federal employees who aren't working and you allowed them to not work by not paying them, how much money you would save? The current system is just nuts. It is wasteful, it's dishonest, and it can't be defended. And I think the inability to allow people to be safe while going into the Nancy Pelosi federal office building is a warning signal, not just about San Francisco, but about every American big city where the policies of George Soros-elected left-wing prosecutors are putting criminals back on the street, endangering the citizens, and making the cities less and less desirable. This is a big deal, and Congress ought to look into it, and they ought to adopt some very strict rules to fundamentally change what's going on. My new book, March to the Majority, is now a bestseller and is available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and retailers everywhere. Get it today by clicking on the link in the description below.